Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and peace be with you, brothers and sisters of humanity. I hope all is well. Welcome to another video. A friend of mine sent me this video right here. Check it out.
Men have become bored with women.
Young lady, do not try to speak for all men. There is no one truth, spoken by one person, that could apply to us all. We are all different. Even I, as a man, would never attempt to speak for all men. But I can speak for myself when I tell you I'm not bored of women. I am tired of pain. I am tired of being treated as though I am an impulsive child and must justify my every decision before ever carrying them out. I am tired of being treated like a liar and having to prove everything I say and do. And even after years of doing that, I have not gained any trust and have to continue to do so. I am tired of having love and affection held over my head like a weapon, and if I even so much as disagree with you, then I can't have any love or affection. I am tired of being treated as though if I do not change every single thing about myself to suit you, then by God, maybe we're just not meant to be. And if I dare ever ask you to change anything about yourself, even one thing, then by God, if you have to change, then maybe we aren't meant to be as well. I am tired of being treated as though my problems are my own to solve, but your problems must have every bit of my support that I can muster. I am not bored of women. I'm tired. That is why even now, if I were to meet Miss America, there would be a moment where I would pray to God that I could ever land something like that, and promise all the sacrifices I'd make just to have someone that beautiful. And then I'd remember, as the moment passes, that I have made those sacrifices, and my life didn't get any better, so I would not do that again. So while being lonely is its own evil, it is its own pain, I would choose that day after day than ever be treated as I was before.
This video really moved me. I almost felt like he was talking about me, because that's exactly how I feel. This is a classic he said, she said. Of course, as he said, every case is different, and I don't speak for all women either, but I sure have a lot of friends who feel the very same way as this gentleman right here. I know we often hear stories of how people get married or get into a relationship and everything's fine in the beginning, but the minute they either get married or get into a serious relationship, expectations of one changing the other ensue. I know usually it's very common for women to expect that they can change men, and it's one of the biggest mistakes that I think women often make. There's a famous saying that says, I think it was, men marry women hoping that they'll never change. Women marry men hoping that they will change or that they can change him. We often, for some reason, think that maybe our love will change someone, and although it's so obvious that this is who this person is. What did Maya Angelou said? When somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. But in my case, and in the case of many of the people I know, women in this case, it's usually men trying to persuade us to change. In my case, it was always like that. I've been in the public eye for a while, and the people, that become attracted to me by seeing me or hearing my voice when I was a journalist, or just knowing me, in the public eye, would then expect me to change now that we're talking marriage or, whatever. Just now that you're mine, so I want to hide you from the world and just for me. I know as a Muslim, there are certain expectations. But when you've been on your own for a long time, and this is, for example, how you make your living, being a journalist, being in the public eye, but then once you agree to the marriage, or some cases the marriage takes place, then the person expects you to change. I think the kind of people he's talking about, I guess it's the classic so-called feminists. I see a lot of pain in this man's eyes, and I can hear a lot of pain in his voice. I totally understand that sometimes you get so exhausted by even dealing with anyone. It's much easier to just be, I don't know what happened, but things have changed. And this is very universal, actually. Men are suffering and women are suffering. And we are over 8 billion people in the world. More people today than any other time in human history. Yet, there's more loneliness. There's more suffering, more mistrust and distress. I have, for example, a couple of my friends who just became single. They got divorced recently. And one of them has been divorced for a while, for several years. The other just got divorced about a year ago. And they decided, well, now, we want to dip our feet in the water and see what's out there. And so as the story of nowadays goes, they decided that they would join one of these dating apps. For me, it's very hard because a lot of people know me. So, it's I'm always worried that someone from my community will see me and say, aha, here she is looking for love. Of course, we all want to love and be loved. Isn't that what everybody is in search for? And I know what you're thinking, some of the brothers, feminists, why, if you're a feminist, you don't need a man. It's like the alpha strong type who always feel like, I can have any woman I want and I don't need to hear, any complaints or any, women need us. No. The truth of the matter is, we all want love. We all need love. And it doesn't really matter how many people who are into you, whether you are a man or a woman. What counts is the person you want to be with, the kind of person you want to be with. If they're not into you, then it doesn't really matter how many people who are into you. I know maybe it's a little different for men, but anyway, so going back to my friends who are checking out these dating apps, they used Musmatch, I think. Is it Musmatch? I think Musmatch, yeah, Musmatch. And and mind you, these two women don't know each other. I'm friends with both of them. One is in Canada, one is in the US. They don't know each other. And each one of them, I swear to you, told me the very same story. That the brothers that they've met one of the first conversations they've had, coming from the men's side, is about sex. These are supposed to be Muslim men. I mean, immediately they just get to the point. You know, wanting some pictures or phone. Disgusting stuff. You're supposed to be talking to a Muslimah, a Muslim sister. Someone who's been, you know, in this case, these sisters have been married and are mothers. They want something real, something beautiful, halal. Even the ad, they said, tells you, keep it halal, you know, once you start conversating with someone. And this is not the first time I've heard about this. Other young ladies have told me the same thing. That, what's the point? If you're talking to brothers, I mean, you specifically choose a side like that, Musmaj. Because you're looking for, it's supposed to be for Muslims. And these Muslim men just get right down to it. What's with the brothers? I mean, I feel like that, you know, the rumors or the stereotyping of being sex obsessed. If you want to have sex, then go to other websites or whatever. But why come to a Muslim website wanting to meet a Muslimah, and the very first thing you talk about is about sex? How dishonorable and disrespectful is that? And then, you know, for when you go to social media, whether it's Instagram or YouTube, or the sisters who are like me on social media, the comments are always feminists and go to your boyfriend. I mean, you cannot imagine what some men, of course not all men, but a lot of them. In fact, you'll have more men, our Muslim brothers, calling us names. You know, Muslim women nowadays, you know, are sleazy. They're sleeping around. They date non-Muslims. They do this, that, the other. We get accused all the time. But then when sisters come directly looking for Muslim brothers, thinking they'll respect me, they know I don't have to explain much to them. They'll go there with them. These two sisters I'm talking to actually just quit the app. And a couple of years ago, several other sisters told me the same thing, young sisters. It's actually, I am sure you know, it's a very common thing. So it's like, I understand what this man is talking about. Yes, you can get lonely and be sad, and yeah, there's nothing like having a living, breathing human being where you can talk about things and companion. In our case, obviously, a marriage. It's a beautiful thing. But in our case, you know, you're very suspicious anyway. There's a lot of suspicion going on between men and women, especially a lot of sisters. After a certain age, you just kind of feel like everything's temporary. Because many of the brothers are, I'm not saying all of them, but many of them are always looking for young or younger woman, even if they're married, their first marriage. In our community, a lot of sisters always feel like, well, now, the midlife crisis will start and, he's going to start looking. So you see your situation as a temporary anyway. Heartbreak's around the corner. You always think, well, it's around the corner. It's coming. And if you've been divorced and you decide to look around, you run into things like this. She's a divorcee, so, she better be, maybe she's ready to just get into it, kind of thing. There's almost a little bit of shame that associates with being a Muslimah and looking for love. So although this gentleman here, obviously he's a man and I'm a woman, I talk to a lot of sisters and, people tell me their stories all the time. I know exactly what he's saying. Yes, you want to love and be loved. But does it worth all the hassle and suspicion, and after all these years of being alive, someone expecting you to change? I think it's important to kind of meet in the middle, negotiate, talk about things where each of you leave or give up something. Because there's nothing more important than love. But lately, there's a universal suffering on both sides. There's more people in the world today than any other time in human history. Yet, more loneliness. In my case, I'm lonesome. I don't really get lonely. I'm very grateful, thank God, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. And I'm not just saying this because, and I'm honestly not just saying this, but my life is, alhamdulillah, filled with a lot of wonderful, joyful things that give me great satisfaction. Having said that, no one is an island. No one is an island. But you think about it and then you're like, you know what? After all these years, at this point in my life, is it even worth it? Just like this gentleman right here. And as a Muslimah, you're like, well, this life is temporary anyway. You're only here a very short period of time. There's so many ways to find joy and fulfillment. Maybe you just wait, just wait for Allah. Whether Allah brings the right person to your doorsteps, or you're only visiting anyway, so just make the most of it. So much beauty in the world. So this man, I know chances of him seeing my video is very slim, but his video really touched me. His words moved me. And I wish everyone who is out there and is feeling lonely or lonesome. A great joy. Stay hopeful. Thank you very much. Take care. And thank you for watching.